Hey guys, and welcome to Excoundrel AFK Journey. Today we're going to be covering things that I wish I knew before I played the game. Because I made a lot of mistakes in my account, and I spent a decent amount of money to correct those mistakes to an extent, and I still haven't recovered from some of the mistakes that I made when I started playing the game. And when I say recovered, I'm still having fun, I'm still progressing, and what I want to, before we even get into this video, guys, what I want to say is I'm going to go to my standing desk because I need to be stood up for a little bit today. So we're gonna do that whilst the video's going. So what I need to say is that you shouldn't look to min-max if you don't want to. Min-maxing is for a very specific type of player that wants to ensure that they're using all of their resources effectively. Okay, there we go. Basically, you shouldn't want to min-max in this game if you don't want to, because ultimately this game is designed to have fun, right? Now, players have fun in different ways. I am one of those players that gets fun out of min-maxing to an extent. But some players are going to look at a hero and say, that hero looks cool, I want it. Even if that hero is garbage. You're probably going to get baited by Miriel's assets and say, I want Miriel, but then Miriel is terrible. So, you don't have to min-max if you don't want to. But of course, if you are a player that wants to make the best use of their resources, then min-maxing is important. And what I'm going to talk about today is the mistakes that I made and the mistakes that I wish I could go back and fix to that would make my account in a better spot than it is right now. So, the first of which is the wishlist. So this is like the wishlist that I have updated since Valor has been released from her banner. Now, obviously, this is not right for me because I do actually have some stuff that's already maxed, so it gets taken off. There we go. This is what my wishlist should have looked like as a very early free-to-play player. Because, and I'll go through it individually, out of the Lightbearer heroes, these three are okay, but Cassidy she's got some fringe use in Dream Realm, but ultimately Valor is way more useful. As you can see, these guys are already max. Valor is way more useful in PvP. Rowan is extremely useful. Like these guys, so Marilee and Corin are basically non-negotiable for the Dream Realm. They are some of the best Dream Realm performers in the game. Mauler-wise, you could make an argument for Shakir over Brutus, but what I would say as a free-to-play player is that Brutus is going to help you as a one-copy progress far more than Shakir is going to. Smokey and Mirky, and then there are lots of good A-tier Maulers, but I think, like, for the most part, the two best for progression in general is Antandra and Coco. Sorry, not Antandra, it's Odie and Coco. Odie, especially if you want to get him to Mythic Plus. I would say, and this is just my personal opinion, I love Antandra, and she helped me progress more than any other off-tank in the game. I have her at Mythic. If you like Antandra and you want to use her as an off-tank, you could replace her for Coco once you've got a couple of copies of Coco, because Coco can be a bit of a one-copy wonder for the most part. Her ultimate is the most important thing. She gets a very good Mythic Plus shield later on, but it's not that necessary. You can still progress with Coco at a relatively low ascendancy. Wilder is actually quite set. Hewin, you need Iron, Damien, and Arden. This is basically the best possible Wilder wishlist you can get. Once you get one of these guys and all of their copies, you can probably swap one of them out for Parissa. And maybe when you get Iron up to full, you can make a decision between Granny Dani and Brian. Both of them are all right. Graveborn is very difficult. Graveborn is essentially you would love to have Cessia. So basically, Cessia is nice to have on the list if you want to progress with Cessia, and Cessia will help you progress more so than Carolina or Igor will, for instance. So as a new player, I quite like this, but you would not be min-maxing if you didn't have Carolina on your list as early as possible. Carolina will give you an important part of your late game comp with Iron, and so if you don't have her on that early, you'll end up like me, where I've maxed Cessia, but unfortunately I have a Carolina at one copy, so I can't use her. In terms of A tier, I have gone for Neru because I'd like to run the Deathless Graveborn Neru comp, but I think most people would say that Viperian and Sylvina are the better A tier inclusions, but I don't really want Viperian any higher than he is right now, and I kind of want to get Neru to Mythic Plus, so that would be my list here. Obviously, I have maxed a couple of these guys. I might put Kruger on the list now, and then I'll take him off for Shakir, and I'll take him off for Cassidy or Temezia. Temezia, do you know what? Actually, Temezia is probably better. Boom. That's what I'm going for now. But I wish my wish list had looked a little bit like the previous version, where, you know, I had the best min-maxing possible on there. But again, like I said, you don't have to min-max to really enjoy this game. The next kind of tip, it's not going to be for free-to-play players, but it's going to be for people who consider spending, is the next tip is do not get baited by offers that include purple dust, because usually they tend to include, or hero essence, they usually tend to include something about like 1,250 dust, right? You very rarely get an offer that has more than 1,250 dust. You generate sort of towards the latter end of the AFK stages, but in general, you generate somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 dust a day. Where I'm at, 1,250 dust is literally turning my phone off for the workday or going to sleep and waking up. I am not going to spend money on dust, so do not get tempted to buy bundles because of hero essence. That becomes with just waiting. Yes, okay, it can get a bit frustrating, but if you just sleep, you've usually saved the money that you would have spent on that hero essence. So it's just worth noting that you shouldn't be tempted to buy into bundles because of hero essence alone. There are other bundles that are worth it. I would always spend my real money on pulling resources, so trying to get more invite letters or stargazing tokens, etc. I would not spend it on resources that you can naturally generate by just waiting. So don't get baited into buying bundles that include a large volume of dust as a big selling point, because you can generate that dust so easily. And that's another really important tip that I wish I'd known, just not to get baited in sort of buying these resources that you can generate for free. Only ever spend your money on resources that you cannot generate for free or you have limited generation of. For this, you have unlimited generation of dust. You just need to wait. The next tip, that is something that I'm going to make a video on separately, but I just wish I'd been a bit more selective, is basically knowing where to invest your hero essence resources, which you can see here. I'm not going to invest Cessia any higher, but it's knowing which X weapons to upgrade. So for instance, I dumped a bunch into Florabelle, which, don't get me wrong, I did it just to see how good she would be when she got her level 10x. But if you're looking at kind of using this a very, very finite resource, and the resources that so temporal essence, tidal essence is a little easier to get. You can acquire that from the Emporium for diamonds on a daily basis. So even just by getting the diamonds that you get for free every day from your daily quests, you can usually pick up a bit of tidal essence. Temporal essences is much harder to come by. Most free-to-play players will not get a huge volume of temporal essence, and to get an X weapon from level 5 to level 10 requires temporal essence, and it requires quite a lot of it. And then Twilight essence, which is even more rare, is for getting a EX weapon to a slightly higher rank, like 15 or 20, which is even harder to come by. So be selective with the X weapons that you look to upgrade, and if you're ever in doubt, Pridewin has got a pretty good guide on upgrading X weapons. But in general, Florabelle doesn't come very high on the X weapon upgrade. But I did it just because I like Florabelle, and this is what I mean about, you know, not always having to min-max. I like Florabelle. I wanted to make a summoner comp. Her level 10 X weapon gave me a good upgrade for her summoner comp. But for instance, you know, I've got Odie to level 10 because his X weapon at level 10 is very, very good. He gets energy, and then we can also enhance it to level 15 if we wanted to. And to be honest with you, if I was going to choose a unit to enhance to 15, it would be Odie, and then to 20 to Odie as well. Odie is one of those units that gets incredible, or heroes that gets incredible upgrades from his X weapon. So just be careful and selective about which X weapons you upgrade. For instance, I've got level 10 Iron, which is a really nice upgrade. It basically doubles the CC duration of his ultimate, which is fantastic. You don't really need to get it to level 15. I've got level 5 on Valor, which is quite nice. So she gets her haste and movement speed. I also have Thorin. Now, Thorin is very strong at level 5, but you can get him to level 8 and you just get the basic stat increases. But basically, just be very selective about which X weapons you upgrade. It's a limited resource. I would generally tend to upgrade units that you think that you're going to use for progression. So, for instance, Iron, Damien to X weapon level 5, Odie to X weapon level 10 is always good. And just have a look at some of the guides on which X weapons to upgrade. But don't just throw especially your temporal essence. So like getting X weapons to level 5 is a bit easier. It takes a lot of tidal essence to get an X weapon to level 5, but tidal essence is readily available from the shop and you can buy it every day. Temporal essence is not, and that's the one that you've got to be very careful about spending when you get to that stage. Make sure that you're choosing the best possible units that you use in your comps to get to X weapon level 10, because that is going to be the big killer for your resource if you spend it on the wrong type of character. So for instance, like Valor, yeah, she's great in PvP, but her X weapon at level 10 is not going to suddenly start winning you battles. Whereas Iron, his X weapon at level 10 is going to double the CC for another 3 seconds, which is actually very, very impactful. And same thing for Odie. His X weapon at level 10 grants him 600 initial energy, so he basically casts his ultimate almost instantly. So you just got to have a quick look at the guides out there and make sure that you're investing your temporal essence specifically in the right type of X weapons. And I probably wasted a load on Florabelle that I didn't need to, but it was fun, so there you go. The next little tip that I only just recently started doing more often is don't neglect game modes. And the reason being is that game modes actually all have quite a lot of cool resources that they can offer you on a weekly basis. Like Honor Duel, for instance, on a weekly basis, if you get 15 victories, you're going to get 2 invite letters, which is a resource that is relatively hard to come by. You're going to get 300 diamonds for a 12 victory reward. So make sure you're playing each of the game modes because there is plenty of rewards to be had. You get rewards in the arena, you get daily rewards from the arena, and you also get weekly rewards from the arena. So for instance, like in my case, I get a bit of temporal essence or even, was this actually Twilight Essence? Annoying because I don't actually want Twilight Essence at the moment. I want more temporal essence. But just make sure that you are doing your daily rewards in the arena and just getting as much out of your game modes as physically possible. Like definitely do your legend trials where you can, because you get really great resources from that. And you can see I've actually got the top floor on the Maulers. I'm stuck on level 83 on the Lightbearers. And then Arcane Labyrinth gets you 3 epic invite letters every time you complete a tier. Dream Realm, remember to come to the Dream Realm and claim your daily Dream Realm rewards, which you get from being on the rankings. So I'm generally about 30 on most Dream Realm rankings, for instance. So just make sure you're coming and claiming your rewards for the game modes every single day. It's very important, and it will help you on the long term max out your account a bit more quickly. This next one is a massive one, and one that I absolutely screwed up, and you can see that I've screwed it up right here. It's the recruitment store. When you recruit, you get these things called Dolly tickets, and essentially you will be able to use these Dolly tickets to buy things. It can be quite tempting to get the immediate gratification of buying epic invite letters and normal invite letters for Dolly tickets, but don't do that. What you should do instead is buy these stargazing tokens. The reason for the stargazing tokens being the priority here is that there is very, very few other ways to get stargazing tokens. You can get them in the arena store, which I've already bought all of them, but you can get them in the arena store if you're in the champion tier, which is obviously not going to be there for everybody. So you can get them in the arena store if you're in the champion tier. In terms of arena purchases, by the way, out of these, Brutus is good, Igor is good. I've obviously picked up Carolina. Hewin is good. So you could also spend them on these souls. I probably need to buy a couple of Brutus souls because I'm struggling now in the Trials of the Abyss without Brutus being slightly higher ascendancy. But you can also pick them up in the champion store if you happen to be that high in arena. But otherwise, most of you are not going to get access to stargazing tokens any other way than through your Dolly tickets. And also from the guild store for diamonds, which you only get one of them a month in the guild store, which is crazy. Also, you can see that in the daily store, I do buy Tidal Essence, and it's generally like 300 for 10 is not too bad. So if I'm going to spend my diamonds, I'm going to spend my diamonds usually on an invite letter on a daily basis because it's cheaper than getting it. So you have to consider that an invite letter in general is 300 diamonds. So 210 diamonds you're going to save in the long run buying them here. And I usually buy all of the Tidal Essence as well. As you can see, I'm now running out of diamonds because you get a lot of diamonds from the campaign and from the AFK stages. But once you've done that, your diamond hoard tends to dry up a little bit. And I also spent a lot of diamonds on pulling. So yeah, I'm running a little bit slim on diamonds at the moment. But yeah, you really want to use your Dolly tickets primarily on these stargazing tokens because there isn't really any other way to do it. So you want to save all the Dolly tickets that you get and just spend them on stargazing tokens because you get these throughout the campaign and through other methods. There is very few other methods to get stargazing tokens. And if you want to get Hypergeans, it is the only way. So you need to make sure that you're spending your Dolly tickets on stargazing tokens as a primary because otherwise you'll waste them like I have done on these invite letters and you will spend precious resources that you should be spending on stargazing tokens because otherwise you have to pay to get them, or you get them very, very far down and in very small numbers in the Trial of Abyss, which most of you are not going to reach for a while. So that's my tips on spending in the Emporium, but specifically spending your Dolly tickets. The next tip I have is about equipment. Essentially, I'm just going to craft this. It's taking me forever to craft it. Essentially, don't worry about spending to forge. Look how much of this, like, forging stone 5 that I've got. I've got 1,500. I am never going to spend that. Never. So don't worry about forging equipment. You are always going to find the resources to forge. So when you get an option to forge, even if it's 5 levels, just forge it. It will help you progress a little harder than you would have been able to before. And so now I don't even think twice about forging because, frankly, I have so many resources to forge. 5-level upgrade is a big deal to me. So a lot of you might think, like, oh, like, should I forge or shouldn't I forge? And yes, okay, sometimes you're going to find a piece of equipment, like, immediately after that replaces it. And you're like, oh, why did I forge that? But for the most part, you're going to get so many forging resources in the game that it's just not worth it to worry about whether, 5 levels is worth it. It's always worth it, and you'll find those resources back super easily. You get chests from AFK stages. There's plenty of things that you can do through forging. The next tip that I've got is actually when it comes to the Ironhoof Forge and also to Keith's store. Basically use them. I didn't realize until halfway through the campaign that these things actually had useful stuff in them. Especially the forge. I was not expecting the forge to actually have any useful equipment in it. So if you see, like, there's stuff here that is like big upgrades for me. So like I've got an upgrade for my marksman, great. I've got an upgrade for my mage, great. Got an upgrade for my warrior. And I don't really care about spending gold because frankly, you make so much gold. Like on an AFK stage, like what do I make? I make 32,758 gold an hour, right? So to make back a couple of million is not going to take me that long. And I've now got 3 pretty major upgrades actually for my like 10 level upgrades for all of my units. So go to Ironhoof Forge. It actually has, especially in the later game, you don't realize just how much stuff is in there. Now I've actually bought everything from Keith's store as well. But I'm going to just quickly tell you what I did in Keith's store. So I bought everything because there was nothing else for me to do. But essentially, what I would say in Keith's store is spend the minimum amount possible to get access to the soul stones. The soul stones are the most important thing that you can get here. It's going to get you a load of A-tier hero soul stones, and if you're lucky, they'll be useful A-tier heroes. In terms of the equipment that Keith offers, you can usually find that over in the forge, if not better. But I use the equipment primarily as a way to get access to the higher tiers. You've got to spend more in Keith's store to get access to the later stuff. But you prioritize the soul stones, then you prioritize the equipment if you need it, and then the XP, because the XP is the least valuable thing that you can buy here. Because I have got billions upon billions of XP, I think. I've got like 179 million XP. And And until I get to level 240, there is absolutely nothing else I can do with it. So don't worry too much about the XP from Keith's store. The final thing is town quests. I actually didn't realize these even existed until about, half the way through the campaign. Had no idea that these things were a thing. Do your town quests. They're going to get you a little bit of extra hero essence, which can be nice. And they'll get you some soul stones. They're just really nice little ways to help you get over certain thresholds. So I've used these in the past just to get me past a certain threshold, to ascend a hero, then do some more content. Make sure you're doing your town quests. And again, I didn't realize that these even existed. A mistake that I made was that I just went through the campaign. I had like 10 town quests to do in a row, and I suddenly vaulted in resonance level because I had all of this hero dust that was just given to me, and I had no idea. So yeah, those are some of the mistakes that I wish I hadn't made when playing, and hopefully that helps you just be a bit better, a bit more focused as a player, and yeah, hopefully min-max, if you want to, your AFK Journey account a bit more. I'll see you soon.